Welcome to my off-grid adventures. I'm Frank and I'm glad you're here with me today. We're going to do a test of my new DJI Mini 4 Pro drone to get a few unique shots of our 60-acre off-grid Michigan property. I'm going to be testing the tracking feature so that it could follow me and follow my tractor. I'm also going to get some footage of aerial views as well as views of the river and our trails and the entire property. So it should be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. We'll begin with the front of our property. And I'm doing this early in the morning because it's been windy lately. Every day it's been just a little bit too windy to fly the drone. It will fly in the wind, but it takes quite a bit more power, so you get less flight time on each battery. This did come with 3 batteries, but with the high winds, you can burn through all 3 in probably under an hour. So now we're looking at the property from the front. We don't own this side of the road, we own the other side. But I was using the waypoints feature for this, which gives more of a circular route than you ask it to take. So it backed up further than I intended it to, and I still need to learn how to use that better to control its flight path. But you can still see here the entire property from the very front edge. Here you can see our garage and barn that we have toward the front of the property. We have a video about that barn being delivered by the Amish builders. I'll put a link in the description. In case you're wondering, the drone doesn't actually fly this fast. I sped up the footage by tenfold so that we can get this into a reasonably long video for you to see. At this point, we're at the back of the property at one of the back corners, and now we're moving along to the other back corner, and it goes a little bit quickly through this point. And right about now, we're at the other corner on the back side where you can see the river down below. But this is when I triggered the return to home feature because I was running a little bit low on the battery life, so I wanted to get a new fresh battery in before I flew right over that river and potentially could have fallen in it and lost the drone forever. I was pleasantly surprised by how well this drone can land itself. The return to home feature that I used about 10 times today landed either perfectly on the launch pad or just a few inches to the side of it. I came back with a fresh battery, and now I feel a little more ready to tackle this particular project. So we're just going to look from quite a distance above at the flow of the river on the back side. We used to only own about 30 yards of river access, and now we have, from a linear perspective, a quarter mile, but when you consider how much it weaves back and forth, it's probably more like a half mile of river frontage throughout this property, and we just love it. We're going to do a lot of things with it. And as you can see, there are quite a few limbs and trees that have fallen, so it's going to require a bit of work before we can do any tubing or kayaking on it. But there still are many places where you can easily enter it and play around and get refreshed, and we love to do that. So it's going to be a lot of fun for all of us and our family and friends that come over and want to cool off when they're visiting. Let's get a closer look at this river. We're going to enter from what used to be our only entrance point. This time we're going to stay pretty close to the surface of the water, and we'll just go as far as I feel we can comfortably go without risking the drone. At a different location, I've accessed this river and fished for trout in the past and had good success, so I'm hoping we can get a few spots where we can drop some lines and see if we can catch some trout. We initially purchased 40 acres and had that for a couple of years before we purchased the additional 20 acres just a few weeks ago. And we specifically asked for the property line to be the river, which is great. We don't ever have to worry if we're on our property, if we're on our side of the river, up into the back corner where it borders the other neighbors' properties. The DJI Mini 4 Pro drone comes with obstacle avoidance from all directions, but it doesn't recognize the small sticks and twigs that don't have leaps on them. And since that's the case with a lot of the branches that are darting out here, I decided this is about as far as I'm willing to go. I don't want this to fall in the river and lose it forever. So once again, I press the return to home button and I let it make its way back. Once again, it sticks the landing. For our next route, let's take a few of the trails that we recently cleared. I have some videos of us clearing these trails and getting a lot of the fallen trees and branches out of the way so that we can access all of our 60 acres once again. There is still one more trail left to clear, but I hope to finish that this weekend. These trails are filled with so many memories over the years. Although we've only owned this land a couple of years, the previous owner was very generous to let me and my family access this and our kids had so many great memories, and now we're making new memories with our grandkids. Let's take another aerial look, but from a different vantage point. This is not quite halfway across the property, and here you can see a lot of various types of evergreens. But on the back side of the property, we have a lot of maples and oaks and beech trees and all types. We have a wide variety, and the new 20 acres that we own also has a lot of birch trees, which are just beautiful. Now I'll demonstrate the functionality that this has to track an object, whether that's a person or a vehicle. In this case, I have this automatically tracking me in what is a parallel setting, so it's supposed to run alongside of me as I move and stay right with me. I did have some issues with it when anything got between me and the drone. So when some branches got in the way, sometimes it would go over and around them and then forget the subject that it was tracking. So I had to reset it. So it is something that I need to learn more about. I know that it's more reliable and steady than it was for me on my first use. It did a decent job following me, even though there were high winds at this point. It was even able to do a 180 when I turned around and had no problems at all that time. In this last section, I just have 3 different examples of having this follow me, where I set myself as the object and played around with settings. I still have a lot to learn, but it did work quite well, and I can see a lot of uses for this. While tackling a couple of projects near the entrance of our property, I set this to track and follow me, and a few times it lost me when I went behind some limbs and branches, and I had to reset it again. But for the most part, it did fairly well, and the winds were very high at this point. So again, anything that didn't go right is probably user error and not because of the device. I know there's a lot of ways to set this that I have to learn and practice and refine. You might have seen the video I posted a few months ago of my first use of this Ryobi cordless battery-powered post hole digger. It works really well, and I'm using it again now, and the ground's not super soft yet, but it did a great job. I just drilled a couple of holes in order to have something to secure the gate to keep it open when I want to have that keep from swinging and banging into a car as they try to get through. I wasn't able to finish filming the video of me working on the gate, but I figured that's okay. The drone was out of juice and needed to go back to home before it crashed, so this is as good a time as any to wrap up the video as well. When it comes to electronic tools like this, I often hear people say in the comments that my battery-powered tools, such as my chainsaw or my pruner or even that post hole digger, that they're not going to last as long as I need it to. They're not going to work as hard as I need it to. But at my age, I'm about to turn 50, they work as hard and as long as I should. So when these batteries wear out, it's a good reminder that I'm probably worn out too, and it wouldn't hurt for me to take a break and recharge. So I'll head back to the RV, take a little rest, and I do want to just thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed having this unique vantage point on our property. I also hope that you enjoyed the video and review and this first use of our DJI Mini 4 Pro. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help my channel. And for more content like this about RVs or off-grid living or tractors, please subscribe. We'd love to have you join us. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.